Welcome to this tutorial. I'm Darlington Gospel, and today I want to teach you about solidity variables. I want to teach you about the rules that you need to follow when creating variable, state variable, local variable, or a global variable. We have that three kinds of variables in Solidity: state variable, local variable, and global variable. So let us jump into this tutorial so that I'll show you which one is which. Okay, so creating a variable, you need to follow certain rules. If not, the compiler will have issues with you. And for to have issues with the compiler, you must learn how to, uh, you know, oblige yourself to the rules that governs the language. One of the rules is that when you're creating a variable, you don't start with a number. Like for example, 001 full name is not supposed to be so. When I compile it, you see that I have an error, and you're seeing this thing called illegal. Expected identifier but got illegal. The identifier is not supposed to start with a zeros, but it's supposed to start with what an alphabet of a character, a string. That is how you use in defining the name of a function. To easily cure this, you can put an underscore in front of it, and when I compile, you see that it goes successful. So you can use an underscore before a number, but you don't use a number, and you also don't use a symbol such as a pound symbol in front of it. If it compiles, criminal error saying that what is illegal. Okay, so you don't want all this sort of drama, so you avoid to do all those things. So that is one of the rules that you must get yourself in tuned when creating stuffs with Solidity. And Solidity is case sensitive. Full name is not the same as full name. Okay, so if you're creating that variable, these two variables, let's say one is full name and one is, they are two different variables. See that they are not conflicting. One is capital letter, one is small letter. So you want to take note of this. Solidity is case sensitive. So those are the rules that you need to get yourself wrapped around to creating things with Solidity. So the next thing that I want to tell you now is that Solidity has about three types of variables. We have in scope wise, of course, we have state variables, we have local variables, and then we also have global variables. And I'm going to show you which one is which. Okay, these here are all state variables. Why are they state variables? They are state variables because they are found within the circumference of this particular smart contract. So they are not captured within a function, but they are actually outside of a function, but just within the smart contract itself. Okay, so they have impact and they could affect every areas of this smart contract. Every function and every other variables inside of this smart contract can have access to a state variable. So they keep information about the state of your smart contract. That is just what it is. And one thing you must know about state variables is that the storage location for them is in a compartment called the storage. The storage, things stored in the storage stays forever in the blockchain. You don't override, except it's just to change their content. But basically what I'm saying is that you can always have them there living forever. So even though you come 20 years later, so long as that smart contract is there, you're going to still fetch data from those state variables. So you can use that state variable to store arrays of information on the blockchain. Fantastic. Okay, so another thing afterward, the next thing that you want to know is the local variables. The local variables can come in form of an argument in a parameter or a variable you create inside of a function. So for example, this is an argument within this constructor parameter called _gender. So this gender is a local variable because it's only applicable to this particular function. it cannot be used by another function except you are passing it as a parameter to that function, but you must have called it within this constructor itself. To keep things simple, local variables are local to a function. That is just it. And they use their storage location is in the memory. Memory doesn't store things permanently, only temporary until the function finishes its execution. Once the execution of that function is completed, it goes away. So that is what it is. So this is one example of how you create a local variable. I'll show you something like, let's say you int and then you say underscore age is equal to let's say 18. Okay, so this is how you also create a local variable. You can create it by putting it as an argument if you want to receive information outside of the function, or you can create it inside if you want to generate some placeholders inside of the function itself. Okay, so let's just assign this to this thing. For example, we can say the main age of the state variable. Now I'm assigning a local variable called age inside of it. Yeah, so you can put a local variable inside of a state variable, or assign the value of a state variable into a local variable, vice versa. You can do all that kind of stuff. So you can also do gender is equal to underscore gender. Fantastic. So you can also assign the variable coming from the parameter to a state variable. So another thing that you can do is to access global variables. Global variables are actually they come shipped with the programming language itself, and it's these are keywords that are objects or namespaces that comprises various data scopes. For example, there's a global variable called the MSG that holds information such as the value of money that you're performing in a transaction. If you're sending money if Duke is sending Alice some money, that money will be captured in this this global variable called msg.value. Or if Duke is sending some money to Cecilia, the address that is sending that money will be captured within this msg.sender. So for example, let's say ID of this person is equal to what? msg.sender. Okay, msg.sender. So, and this is really important whenever this function is deployed, this smart contract is deployed in the network. This is the first function that is executed, and all the information are stored. Any block of code that is written in it are executed, and that is it. So the person that deploys the smart contract is the sender, and will make that the ID of that deployer of this person. So the next thing, there is also another global variable that we have. There are many of them. You can do some research on those areas and find out more for yourself, but I just want to show you how the basics they work. Okay, so registered at, okay, we're trying to get the timestamp of the time that this registration was done, this ID card was created. So you use this thing called block, which is another global variable, block.timestamp. Fantastic. With this, you'll be able to this is how Solidity variables they work. State variables, local variables, and global variables. So you just do press Ctrl S, Ctrl save. That we compile successfully, and then you can just specify the gender, say male, and then let's deploy this. Okay, this is it should be the older one, and at this, let's deploy this again. I've mixed it up. Mail. Okay, these are all the information. You see the age, full name, gender, ID, and register that. And when I click on this age, you see the age is 18 because we assigned it here. Full name, you see that full name. Oh, I think we did not assign that, so it's all good. The gender is male, like the one that we deployed, we passed into the parameter. Fantastic. And ID, ID is the address of the person that actually deploy the smart contract, which is this particular address. You see it ends with EDDC4, and you can see it ends with what EDDC4. And then the registered at, this is what, the timestamp, which is in Unix time, and you can use this in your front end and convert it to a human readable time yourself. So this is how variables work in Solidity. I hope you got some good insights with that, with this class, and I'm gonna have to see you in the next one. Please do subscribe, to us, so that you can see more of this class as we go. So have a great day.